is
the
we're going to
audience
talk
will
about
count.
self-storage. And
Sit in the
I've been
audience.
teaching this for a number of years. We work with people for a year at a time. We also have 3-day events that I'm going to try to condense into the next 2 hours, because we go to what, 10? Is that right? Is that what time we got here? Midnight? We have to midnight? Even better. Good. Whew. I can get through 200 slides by midnight. That's perfect.
Yeah.
Okay.
We have a
So
we have a timer over here that goes forever.
we have a timer that goes forever. That's why wouldn't that be nice? Okay, so we're going to get out of here about 9 o'clock. So that means that we're going to go pretty fast. The good news is I am a fast talker, as you can tell. I've also had a Monster energy drink, and so we should be able to get through by 9 o'clock. But in order to do that, if you would, can we hold questions until the end? And I'll go to the back and then answer all of your questions. Stay here. Well, maybe not as long as it takes, but I'll stay here and answer your questions at the end if we can hold those until then. Is that fair? Is that fair? Yes or yes? Okay, so who would, not everybody's agreeing, who would like to ask questions and stop me along the way and go till midnight? Okay, who would like to wait until the end and ask all your questions and get out of here at 9:07? Okay, you voted. All right. So here we go. Folks, what we're going to be talking about tonight is, yes, busting the myths and the shocking truths about self-storage. There's a whole lot of folks that are new to self-storage. You may have heard about it. I know there's some folks in this group that are investing in self-storage because we've taught them how to go about doing it. But if you haven't looked into it, I'm going to give you the skinny on it tonight as much as we can. So we're going to talk about why this is such a huge sector with very little competition, why it's insanely profitable in both good and bad economies, why it's the easiest to manage, it's the easiest to finance, and the fact that there's an endless opportunity to create passive cash flow and increase the value in these facilities more so than any other asset class that I've ever invested in. And why, when I got into this side of real estate, that this truly is the best investment in all of real estate. And I looked at all of them, only to find that the most profitable sector in commercial real estate, bar none, and has been for the past 30 years, is self-storage. So why isn't anybody looking into this? Well, we'll talk about that too. So here's what we're going to learn tonight. How to enjoy passive income in real estate without tenants, toilets, trash contractors, or employees. Who's interested in that? Yep. All right. How to buy your first self-storage facility for less than the cost of a single-family home. Go figure. Interested in that? All right. Secrets of a little-known, no money down, government-backed loan. Yes, the government is good for a few things, including no money down loans on self-storage, but only self-storage. How to flip a self-storage facility for $100,000 to $1 million per deal. Where are my flippers? Where are my wholesalers? Folks that flip deals to other folks in the room. Raise your hands. Don't be shy. I'm not going to make you come up here. Are you making 100 grand to $1 million each one of those? Would you like to? Okay, we'll show you how to do that as well. And why the sleeper in real estate is known as the recession-proof, inflation-proof cash cow. We're going to show you the stats behind that, not just because I said it is. And how to partner with me and my team to split the profits. Who may be interested in that? Okay, folks, so that's the real reason why I'm here, if you want to know. There's no other motive and no other reason other than that. I want to make you all successful, and if you go out and do it, fantastic. But you know what? I want you to be successful. Go out and do your first one, maybe your second one, and then when you come across a really big one, or more that you can do, more than you can handle, that you have money and experience for, then I want you to call your Uncle Scott. Because we partner with folks, and that's the real reason why I'm here. I don't go out and speak any longer. I don't spend time away from my family and my amazing kiddos unless it's in a market in which we're already investing in and that we're looking to find other folks to teach this asset class, this investing strategy to, so that we can partner with you in this market. That's the only thing that brings me out to talk to folks like yourself tonight. So pay attention if you have an interest in that. That's what we're going to talk about throughout the rest of our time together. So why self-storage? Why the opportunity that exists right now that is greater than any other time? Again, not because I said so, but I speak for and a member of the Self-Storage Association, as well as Inside Self-Storage. They put on trade shows out in Las Vegas. And what I found, for the years that I've been, about 6-7 years I've been speaking there, I would ask folks when I come into the room, I say, how many of you folks are here to learn about self-storage and are not don't own a self-storage facility currently? And there was a couple of hands that would go up in the room, because usually it was a room full of folks that come out to Vegas, they're already in the business, or they're the managers at the big facilities, and they're just coming out to, spend money on the company's dime to go out to Las Vegas and play around and maybe learn a few things. But in the past 3 years, it's been the opposite of that. We've got a whole bunch of folks that are learning about it and hearing about it because, yes, a little bit because of our organization, but mostly in the investment circles, people have realized that this is the most profitable asset class. So now we got a lot of folks that are looking into it. And so there's a whole lot of folks looking into it. There's a whole lot of folks that don't know how to get into it, and there's a whole lot of folks up the food chain, meaning the Public Storages, Extra Space, U-Storage, Storage USA, that unless somebody finds a deal and analyzes it and brings it to them on a silver platter like a broker, they don't hire acquisition managers, and they don't go do this on their own. So we realize that we have an opportunity on two fronts. I have an education company and an investment company. If I teach people about the business, perhaps I can partner with them. If I teach people how to do this and they can wholesale those deals to the big guys, I may be able to help them to do that and create millionaires. And I may also show them how to evaluate and participate in those deals as well. And so for that reason, we found that we have a huge opportunity in front of us right now because the US needs $25 billion in self-storage development just to keep up with demand. See, what happens during a recession is the banks shut off the faucet for speculative types deals. That's development. So you walk into a bank, I got a piece of dirt, Mr. Banker, Mrs. Banker, and I'm going to put a self-storage facility on it. Well, have you ever done this before? No, but I know it's really profitable and it's going to do great. Will you give me the money? No, they don't like speculative deals. They want to look backwards. You go in a self-storage facility, you've had it for 5 years, and you can show the performance of it. You can accurately predict what it's probably going to do over the next several years. Those are the deals that they do. During a recession, they stop the speculative stuff. What do you suppose this economy, what we do in our economy during a recession? Or what do you suppose the people in this country do? What do we do? Businesses and individuals. We downsize. Yep, we downsize. Businesses are downsizing. Individuals are downsizing. We're moving in with friends and family, and we have to have, we put our stuff away until things turn back around again. And so we have this huge increase in demand for self-storage. At the same time, there's a lack of development. So we have this great amount of absorption for the existing facilities. And those who know how to raise private equity or happen to get into these development opportunities at just the right time are the ones that profit from that. But we had a long and deep recession, and so therefore we have a huge demand that is pent up still. We haven't built enough storage to this day to reach equilibrium in our marketplace, which means where supply equals demand and everything is equal and everybody is playing on fair ground. Because right now, there are waiting lists for self-storage facilities, and I know this in this market because we own self-storage in this market. There are waiting lists, and we continue to raise the prices because we can't keep up with the demand for self-storage. We are the pack rats in this country, aren't we, as well? Yeah. And God love you all because you're making us wealthy in the process. So thank you on behalf of the industry. Supply equals demand won't be reached until sometime around 2020 or 2021. And that depends upon the market you're in, says the experts. I'm in these discussions. I'm on these panels. And from what we've seen, nobody can really accurately predict that. But even at that point, equilibrium is a good place to be. It's not the end of everything. It's just we're still catching up right now. Private lenders also have hundreds of millions of dollars that are sitting on the sidelines. Yes, the stock market has done well, but it's still bouncing up and down like a pinball machine. We're heading into the next recession. We're seeing the bond market go crazy right now. We're seeing business foreclosures and bankruptcies going up. Many folks feel that we're already in a recession. Indicators like there's one economist who says, I can accurately predict when we're in a recession, and that's when RV sales go down. And our recreational vehicle sales were down 26% in the first quarter of this year. So by his indications, as well as several others, we're in it or we're heading into a recession. And so what that means is people are pulling money back. They got cash on the sidelines, but they're looking into self-storage because the reason why is because it does so well during a recession. And so they're putting their money in as private equity investors, investing in the self-storage industry or business or partnering with us. So we have this perfect storm that we're heading into right now. Whoops, the solution is that we replicate my $20 million business model. So this is for you if this is what you choose to do, if this is your mission, is to replicate our model to do deals, or you bring us the deals and we'll bring the money to partner with you and we pay referral fees as well. So that's the reason why I'm here. We'll show you the business. We'll give you the tools and the resources. You go out and do this thing on your own, get them across the finish line. But if you find too many deals, too big of a deal, we'll partner with you on it. We'll bring the money, or you can refer it and we'll pay you those $100,000 to $1 million fees depending upon the facility. Again, that's the reason why I'm here. Got it? Yes or yes? Okay. So a little bit about myself and what qualifies me to stand in front of the room and for Anna to say that I'm, what'd you say, the planet's greatest self-storage investor or something like that? Yeah. So just like I wrote it, right? No. Live in Indianapolis. I'm a husband, father of three. I'm a big racing fan. Indy's a good city to live in if you're a big racing fan, which is a good thing. And also our family, we're kind of part-time missionaries. We go out into the mission field. We go into Mexico and the Dominican Republic. And we build houses and we give them away. And we take our students, our partners, our vendors, our family and friends with us, and we pay for them. We pay for the whole trip for them to experience that as well, to see what it's like to have an open hand and to give back. And then hopefully when they come back, they'll realize that this is something that they like to do, and they will go out and do something likewise and leverage it and pay it forward. So that's what we do. And my wife and I look to do this, more of this early on in our careers and in our marriage and when we had kiddos, but we had a lot of tenants and we had a lot of toilets, and we couldn't get away. And we didn't have the extra income to do so. It is self-storage that has allowed us and provided us this platform and the ability to go out and to give back. Prior to getting into self-storage, I bought and sold 82 single-family rentals and 423 apartment units. To date, we've bought, converted, and sold, Anna, we need to update your card, 7,000 plus self-storage units nationwide. So we buy and we develop. We're kind of all across the board in self-storage. We've raised over $40 million from 250 plus private equity partners. That's how much we've raised. We have access to more of that. So again, the reason why I'm here is we need more deals because we have a whole lot of equity investors that have found us over the years that want to deploy their capital into self-storage. We founded a national self-storage coaching business. So that's what you're seeing here. I'm standing in front of you as the CEO of our education company as well as our investment company. They operate as one now. One feeds the other. I have a CSSM with a CAM and the SSA, CSSA, and a PhD in the School of Hard Knocks. So I am a certified self-storage manager. I am a certified apartment manager, even though I don't pay for that designation anymore. I am a member of the Self-Storage Association. I speak for them at their trade shows. I'm a member of the Canadian Self-Storage Association. And well, the last one speaks for itself for my tenant toilet days. Anybody else have a PhD? You don't have to raise your hand if you don't want to. But basically now, I live, eat, and breathe self-storage. And yes, our company is known as the leading experts for teaching people how to get into this business. When we go to the self-storage trade shows, most of the folks that are on that floor that have gotten into self-storage in the past 10 years, we're the ones who helped them out and taught them how to get into it. And so we partner with those associations, and people come through our organization to learn about the business. All right, so what I've learned over the past 25 years. You know, this is always a risky slide when I come to this state. You'll see. I did this once in Columbus, and it was really ugly. Don't worry about it. You guys have had our number for the past, what, 5-10 years? We can't beat you, so I probably shouldn't put it up there. So I graduated from that school and moved to Indianapolis because there were no jobs in Michigan back in 1993, and there's still no jobs in Michigan. So when I moved there, you know, Dad, I got a job with a Fortune 500 company, and Dad said, okay, now time to start planning for retirement, because this is the first time in my life I actually had money left over from my paycheck to be able to invest. And so I bought everything I could get my hands on to learn how to invest in the stock market and how to invest in 401ks and mutual funds, because that's what you do, right? Well, the more people I talked to and the more books that I read, I found out that the wealthiest people in the world, let alone those ones that I was talking to in Indianapolis, hadn't created their wealth in the stock market. They had created it in real estate. Always a little section in the back of those books on investing. Oh, and by the way, you can invest in real estate. And by the way, those are the top people on the Forbes 400 list of investors. They're all the ones that did very well. So I bought everything I get my hands on to learn about how to invest in real estate at that point. So first home study system I ever bought. Any guesses? Carlton Sheets. There we go. And yes, I always get the giggles in the last, but you know what? If you follow it, it works. And it worked, you know? So I got into that business by buying my first rental house through the Carlton Sheets method, bought several more, and then all of a sudden in 1999, many of you in the room may not remember this, but we also had another recession back then. That was a dot-com crash that caused that recession. And so what happened at that point, well, first of all, immediately, the company that I was working for, this Fortune 500 company, was in the tech sector, and they were one of the ones who ended up on the news. If I told you the name, you would recognize it. And overnight, like that, $350,000 in my IRA up to that point was gone, like vapor. Because that's what it is, correct? It's vapor on paper until you cash it in. And guess what? No value, zero. So my retirement, gone, starting over. 6 years, 0. So I began to look then at, put pencil to paper and say, okay, when I went to my wife and said, look at how much money we made last year per hour in real estate. We were doing it part-time, right? But look how much money we made per hour, and look how much money I'm making per hour in this job. And here's how much equity we've created in our properties because the basis has been paid down by our renters. And by the way, there's a big old goose egg over here. So perhaps instead of just doing this part-time, we should devote 40 hours over here to doing this. And she said, okay, well, let's, can you give us a little bit of time to, give us a runway for this? I said, sure. How long? I said, 6 months. Perfect. Get everything figured out. So I went to work and on Monday, and I called her and I said, why? Well, what's the point? And she said, well, do you remember I'm 6 months pregnant and we could use the insurance and maybe get through. Oh, yeah, there's that. I forgot about that. But never fear. I made a few calls and realized that the insurance is still in place and everything would work out just fine. And so I called her and I said, I think it got it all worked out. Can I come home? She goes, yes. Okay. So thankfully, I had a supportive wife. My mother-in-law, not so much. So I quit my job to invest in houses full time. And from 2000 to 2005, bought and rehabbed 82 single family rentals. And so it was just me. I was just doing it on my own. So we were going pretty slow, but it was mine. And I loved it. We were doing all of it at the time because when you own your own business, you kind of like that until you get to the place where you realize that, oh yeah, I kind of have a job in this business. And it got to be a little bit more than I bargained for. I bought a brand new set of golf clubs on that Tuesday after I quit. And for the first 3 years, I couldn't even find them. I don't even know where they were. So we ramped things up, and whoops, that's a quick clicker. Carlton Sheet Special, right? That's the very first one that we ever bought, very first house, 8719 East Catalina, 3-bedroom, 1-bath, bread and butter ranch in a working class neighborhood. Rehabbed it. That is the same house, believe it or not, and refinanced it, pulled cash out, put a renter in it, had 225-ish. Positive cash flow on that one, and then we bought 2 more. And this was at the time, this is a while back, when we actually had assumable mortgages still from the VA. I think it was the VA, right? Or I can't remember what it was, but yeah, VA loans. And so we're off to the races at that point until, yeah. So this was at the time, this was in 1994-ish. And Indianapolis is a little behind, I think, the rest of the country. I think everybody knows that. And this is the time that rent-to-own programs are really kind of coming into play in the landlording community. And so, the idea we all know behind it is that you have 2 separate agreements. You have a rental agreement, and you have a purchase agreement. The house is all rehabbed. Everything's brand new in this thing. So don't call me for any maintenance. You're going to buy it from us. You just need to clean up this one thing on your credit, save up a little more money. We're putting money of the rental payments toward that, getting them in front of the mortgage brokers to buy it. So again, grooming them for home ownership. Well, that was fine until we started having to evict them, and then we walk into our beautifully rehabbed houses, and we saw this. 30-yard dumpster full of trash before we could even walk in to take that picture, to go to court, to walk out of court with a little yellow piece of paper. And how much money do you suppose we got back from those folks or the other folks? Yeah, just almost every case, the big fat zero. We had good attorneys, we had good collection agents, but in most cases, yeah, big fat zero on that. So good deal. This new rent-to-own program was good for the renters in this market, right? They're still renters and they still have the same protection and the same eviction laws, which protect whom? Them. Yeah. So then they can go over to the next folks that were really dolling these houses up, making them look good. The rehab for selling a house is a little different than a rehab for re-renting it, is it not? So yeah, they're going over into from one house to the next, to the next, to the next for all the folks that were doing these rent-to-own programs. So good, good for them. They figured it out. So unfortunately, Carlton Sheets, I'd like to have a cup of coffee with him. Less cash flow and less freedom. So I decided, okay, well, I'll start buying apartments. That'll fix this. I also used to be in Anna's position. I used to run at the Central Indiana Real Estate Investors Association. And during that time, as a member and a board member, we saw a whole bunch of folks come through there. And there was this apartment guy about emerging markets this and emerging markets that. And you put a property management company in place and they just wave a magic wand and everything's fixed and they bring you checks in your mailbox, right? Right? My apartment folks? Yeah, okay. So I bought 400 plus apartment units in multiple complexes throughout Central Indiana. But guess what? I should have paid attention a little closer in school, but to Mr. Einstein, because yeah, all we did was ramp things up, and we just had more tenants and more toilets, more trash, and more issues. We were trying to regentrify these areas that we were in, turning them around, turning the block around, turning the neighborhood around. But at the end of the day, they're all gaming the system, and it's all tipped in their favor. You know what? They stay for 8-9 months, stop paying. They can stay 3-4 months later, trash the place, move on to a nice clean one, and get out without only paying 7, 8, 9 months worth, and we were left hanging with the bag, holding the bag and trying to collect money from them with zero. I mean, it's a good gig for them, right? Not so good for us. So we got to this place. That's probably the best picture I could find to depict that. Everybody get it? Sinking ship. So we had 400 plus units. I had 13 staff not really employees, but staff, contractors and everybody that we were responsible for. I was working 16-hour days. No, this was not passive by any stretch, Mr. Sheets. And my dream job had now become my nightmare. And yeah, I became that millionaire in real estate without a penny to my name. And that came to us. We found out about that abruptly one evening. My wife and I were in the checkout line at Walmart with our 2 young kiddos at the time. And, this is always a crapshoot. When we put the credit card through, we always bet, is it going to go through? Is it not going to go through? And the credit cards didn't go through. We went through all of them. And they didn't go through. And then we got to the debit card and stuck that in. That didn't go through either. When the debit card doesn't go through, that's it. It's tied to the bank account. That's it. Game over. So we were frantically going through her purse and my wallet to try to find enough cash to get out of Walmart while the line of angry people grew behind us. And literally the last credit card she found at the bottom of our purse, put it in, and it went through. So we scooped up the small amount of groceries, our kiddos, and drove home that night without saying a word, because I realized that this is it. We borrowed from Peter to pay Paul until Peter was broke. I had no more closings coming, and there was too much month left at the end of the money. And so that's a game changer. We had to change something at this point. My wife was no longer supportive of this dream that I had. And so the next morning when we got up, she said, hey, what about self-storage? So this is the second time my wife said, hey, what about self-storage? The first time came when, as I mentioned, I ran the group in Indianapolis, and we would have roundtable nights. You guys have roundtables? So landlord folks, apartment folks, rehabbers, wholesalers, and everybody sits around. We talk about that. So I was at the landlording table. It was the biggest one there because that's what most people did. I used to teach Landlord 101 at the University of Indianapolis. So we have a whole bunch of folks at our table. And my wife would come along with, because we had a deal when we got into the business, and that I would go out and create the messes, and she would follow behind with the pooper scooper, right? Behind me, and clean them all up. So she would be there at the table with me. And I listened to everybody, the stories, much like Anna was sharing that tonight as well. And so then there's a couple that we knew in the group for a number of years, and they were sitting directly across from us, and they were giggling and laughing at each other, and elbows, and everybody else was just talking about all the problems, and they're all just ready to cry. And finally I stopped and I leaned on the table. I said, "What are you two laughing about?" And they said, "Well, didn't mean to interrupt, but we just sold our last duplex, and we bought our second self-storage facility, and we got out of the tenant toilet business, and now all we have are self-storage facilities, and we don't have any of these problems any longer." And so we were just kind of talking about how different things are now. And I got an elbow from my wife. And I was like, "Storage? You mean them sheds?" Yeah, I didn't know how to answer that, respond to that. And here's all, everybody looking at me. So I said, well, I just kind of dismissed it, and I said, well, good for you. So that night we had a conversation in the car, and my wife says, hey, what about self-storage? I said, honey, we are sophisticated investors. We have houses, and then we bought houses in nicer neighborhoods, and then we move on to apartments, commercial real estate, and eventually we're going to have nicer apartments. And she said, are those nice apartments going to get me out of a job because I'm about ready to quit? And I said, just sit tight. The cash flow is going to come. Well, it didn't. So fast forward 3 years later, the next morning she comes up and we're dead broke and says, what about self-storage? So I could go back and get a job at this point, but for the entrepreneurs in the room, I think you may agree. Once you've been out on your own, if I had to feed my family, I would do it. But the thought of going back and sitting in a sales meeting with my old manager, or any sales manager for that matter, and saying, hey, Scott, what'd you do last week? What you gonna do this week? Now I'd be like, I don't know. What did you do last week? What are you gonna do this week? Me, my mother? So I decided at this point, okay, now my back's against the wall. I don't want to go to work for anybody else. I'm going to stick with this real estate gig. So I'm going to look into self-storage. And so I did, and became a student of the industry. I attended all the industry trade shows, but there wasn't at the time, there wasn't an organization like ours. There wasn't anybody teaching this side. You can go to the trade shows. You can learn about doors all day long and door locks and everything else. But nobody was teaching how to go from A to Z, the nuts and bolts of it at the time. So I hired a consultant, and we had a closing, and I took the lion's share of that and paid this consultant to spend a day with him. He's from Cincinnati. He owned a number of facilities, and he also third-party managed a number of facilities for other folks in the market. And I spent a day with him, and I filled up 3 notepads full of notes on the self-storage business. So I've been in real estate. I understood commercial real estate with apartments. I thought, well, how much different could it be? Dramatically different. But then I did something different this time, and that is I did what he told me to do. I know so many folks that they get stuck because they can put their stamp on, this system or this strategy instead of just following the path in the footsteps of somebody else who's been successful in doing it. So this time I committed to my wife that I wasn't going to go off. I wasn't going to over leverage. I wasn't going to go and grow too fast. And I was going to listen to what the experts said and do this the right way, the smart way, because I don't want to go back and work for somebody else. And I certainly don't like being broke. So as I learned from him, and I began to look more into the industry then as we were getting prepared to embark on this, one of the first myths that I ran across over and over again is that, this is and I felt this way too, but this is a niche or it's a franchise business, So small, teeny tiny sector of the real estate and teeny tiny sector of even commercial real estate, only to find out that couldn't be further from the truth. There are roughly 15 million single family rentals out there across this country right now, right? There's a study done by the National Multifamily Housing Council. No way of being able to track that. Obviously, it changes daily. It changes by the minute. There were more closings this evening at 5 o'clock, so it changes. But how many folks in the room are in single-family rental, in the single-family rental business? By show of hands, okay? Yeah, about 75, 80% of the room, okay? Who's in apartments? Commercial multifamily, and what they define in this poll is 5 units or more is commercial multifamily. By show of hands. About 3, okay? About 16 million apartment rental units out there owned by investors that are then renting them out. That's individual units, not complexes, right? Hey, now, who is in mobile homes, renting out mobile homes, whether you own a mobile home park or even if you rent mobile homes out? There's always one in the room. Somebody's holding out. Seriously, none? I usually get at least one. None? Going once, going twice? Okay. Well, not surprising. There's not a lot. There's only about 1.4 million mobile home rentals. That last recession in 1999, a company called Conseco, based out of Carmel, Indianapolis, went under, and most of that financing went away at that time and still really hasn't come back. There's companies that'll do it, but not too many. Tenants and toilets on wheels. Now, who's in the self-storage business in here? I know there's a couple of folks that are in the group. I don't know if they're in the room. We got one in the room, 2, including myself. Why is that? Why is that? When there's 25 million plus individual self-storage units all across this country. Because Tony went to me. Well, I wasn't lobbing that one in, but it doesn't matter. No matter where I go, it's usually me standing up in front of the room, raising my hand, and maybe one other person as well. But there's 25 million plus self-storage units across this country. 10 million more than single-family rentals, and 80% of the folks in the room raise their hand. Considerably more than apartments, and my math's not all that great, but a whole lot more than mobile home rentals, right? How come? Why? What? Why not? Huh? I'm asking. What? Because you like toilets and tenants and trash? Nobody likes tenants and toilets and trash. You need help, sir. Why not? Why not? You don't know anything about it? Why not? What else? You could learn about it, never thought about it? The cost? Yeah? I'll tell you the real reason why. Them sheds. Same reason why I didn't look into it. It ain't sexy, is it? Bunch of garage doors, bunch of people storing stuff in there. Who knows what's behind that thing, right? Dead bodies. All kinds of stuff, right? You know what? When I drive by a facility like that, and even the uglier ones, because I'm a junker at heart, I get shivers up and down my spine. Whew, that's beautiful. I got to stop in there and check that out. You know why? Because I know there's a dude, a gal, a couple, folks that own that property that are living a life free of tenants and toilets and trash. And when a recession hits, occupancy goes up. And when times are good and people buy more stuff, occupancy goes up. And they can raise rents anytime they want because our leases are for 30 days only. And all the other reasons for self-storage. So what's stopping you? Don't tell me you didn't look into it or it's too expensive. If you didn't look into it, it's because it ain't sexy. That's why. Oh, the big guys, they own all of this. How can I break into this market when all I see are Extra Space and Public Storage and U-Haul and U-Storage and Life Storage and CubeSmart? How do a little guy like me compete? Well, au contraire. They only own 9% of all of the square footage of all the units in this country. What? How can that be? Those are the only ones I see. The multi-story and they're right on the main drag, on the main path. Well, you know where the other ones are? Right behind it, right around the corner. And they're also right out of the metro area where most of the renters are living. That's where they are. And so these are the same folks. Who owns those? Who owns them? When I say us, who is that? It's mom and pop. It's us, right? The same folks I was buying my houses from, my duplexes, my small commercial properties, using the same techniques and strategies, sending mailers out and having the same conversation, except instead of buying a house, I'm buying a business from them. No different. No different. Myth number 2, saturated. See these things everywhere. It never fails. I gotta come up with a better line. When somebody asks me if we're sidelines for a soccer game or new neighbor party or whatever, somebody says, so what do you do for a living? I'm in the self-storage business. Really? Self-storage? Yeah. What do you do? You like buy those units at auction, sell them off like on TV? Nope. I own the facilities. Oh, really? Man, those things are going up everywhere. They're building one over by my house. There's a new one across the street. It seems to be the only thing that they're building in our town right now. Is it saturated? Oversaturated? Say, well, first of all, sir, that's a double negative. There's no such thing as oversaturated. That means there'd be a huge opportunity. It's either saturated or not saturated. I don't say that. But why is it that everybody, first of all, they come out with something, a negative comment like that? I mean, if I'd have said I was a doctor, it's like, man, don't we have enough doctors in this country? Making any money at that? Well, as soon as I say storage, I see these things everywhere. Well, you know why you see them everywhere? And why they're going up everywhere? No, we just build them for fun. What the heck? Hopefully it'll work. Build it and they will come. Doesn't work anymore. You know what? Because we have a simple, predictable business model, we can go into a market and we determine what the supply index is and whether it is overbuilt or saturated or whether it's undersupplied. We look at a radius, we look at the competition, the amount of units and square footage, and then the population, and we know what the stats are for the industry and whether it is undersupplied or whether it's oversupplied. And if we find a piece of dirt or a building to convert in an area that's undersupplied and the price is right, we're going forward and we can accurately predict when the thing is going to lease up and when it's going to be stabilized. That's why we build them. That's why we buy them existing and turn them around. We don't do it for fun. 9 million units have been built in this country since the year 2000. It's been the fastest growing real estate sector for 39 years straight. And when I say 39 years straight, I mean consecutively. We develop more square footage of self-storage in this country than any other asset class, period. Period. And we're still not at equilibrium. We've seen 65% growth in the sector since 1995. If we had 65% more houses in 1995, we'd have a whole lot of houses, wouldn't we? Storage still has not caught up yet. And that's because, folks, 1 in 10 households rents 1 or more self-storage units in this country. Again, another stat that we can go into any market. You drop me any market in the country, and I will show you the fact that there are 1 in 10 households that are renting 1 or more self-storage units across this country. This is a consumer product. Get this, folks. This is a consumer product cleverly disguised as real estate. We know the buying habits of everybody in every market in this country, and that's one of them right there. That's it. 92% occupancy nationwide right now, and it's over 100% in hotspots because we still haven't caught up with the demand for self-storage in this country right now. There are waiting lists in the bigger areas, bigger markets, and other markets in which the development just hasn't caught up. 92% occupancy average in our industry nationwide. And we are not seeing any signs of slowing down just yet. Oh, I was going to ask a question before I put that up there. Why do you suppose that there's such a high demand for self-storage? The baby boomers. Anna's been paying attention to. She's heard me speak over the years. What do the baby boomers do that creates a demand for self-storage? They collect junk. No, they accumulate treasures. Yes. What else? What else do they do? They downsize, right? Kids are gone, smaller house, still stuff we don't want to get rid of, so we're going to downsize, correct? What else? They never get rid of anything. Yeah, it kind of goes along with what he was saying, correct? If they have prepared for retirement well, they may have enough money to have boats and RVs. Do the homeowners associations allow us to store those on the street? Nope. No rotting metal sheds in the backyard like I had growing up anymore either, right? Not even wood ones. So all that stuff goes to storage. And if they've done well, those of us here in the north, we buy houses in the south, right? And then we have a need for storage when we store some of our stuff up here, but mostly down south. When we get ready to rent that out to other folks, we put all our good toys and our good booze in temperature-controlled storage down there, and we come back up here for the summer and rent that out. So 1 or more self-storage rental units across this country. What else do baby boomers do, you suppose, that causes demand? Think about as they progress through the rest of their lives. They downsize first, then what? Assisted living, correct. And they downsize again. And there's still things that they want to keep for the family or heirlooms or even just to go and use if they want to. Then what's next? Nursing home, from assisted living to nursing home. Jeez, can you use a little nicer term? They pass on. How's that? Okay, is that better? So they pass on, right? Well, then when they pass on, we get the will out, right? Distribute appropriately, and whatever's left over, we have an estate sale for, correct? All the kids get together, but then there's a few things that are left over, right? Like the big green couch. We can't get rid of it. Why? Sentimental reasons. What's so sentimental about this thing? It's so ugly. It's so old. It's nasty. It smells and it's falling apart.
You don't want to throw it out.
You can't sell it. Nobody would want it. We tried already. But we can't get rid of it because we've had pictures taken on this couch of all the kiddies lined up for every holiday and every major family event. And so there's no reason that we can get rid of it, right? Besides, if we did, once we get to heaven, Mom would kill us if we got rid of it, right? So you got the biggest house of all of us. You take it. What? What? Mom liked you best. You need to have it. She liked you best. Here you go. You can take it. Figure out what to do with it. No. What happens to it?
Put it in storage.
It goes in storage, right? We'll figure out what to do next month, and we'll just defer that decision for another month, right? And then what happens the next month? What's easier, to make that decision and face that, or leave it on the debit card and just let it ride? Month after month after month, year after year after year. And we buy a lot of facilities, and we inherit all those tenants, right? Come with it. And many of these folks have been there 6, 10, 12, 18 years, and all of a sudden they stop paying and they disappear. I don't know what the heck's going on. So after 90 days, we go through the lien process, cut the lock off, open it up, and there it is. Ta-da! The remains of the green couch. That's it. You know, there's some fabric, some wood, maybe a spring or two, and that's it. And they have paid us $8, $10, $15,000 to store this couch that they couldn't sell for fun. They'd have given it away if somebody would have hauled it off, right? And that happens over and over and over again. That story plays out. Now, that's not the way to get rich. It's not what I'm getting at right here. But for all those things that I just mentioned, all the reasons, I wrote an article for the ISSM magazine doing a study on how the baby boomers have affected this. Oh, so why would you get into it now? The boomers are dying off and the millennials, they're minimalists, right? Studies have shown now that the millennials are storing more. What? Well, how can that be? Well, because they like to have what? Experiences. They want to have experiences. We don't want to accumulate stuff. We don't need a big house. We're going to have experiences. I shouldn't say it that way. I got kids that are millennials. But experiences usually involve what? Camping equipment, canoes, bikes, everything else. And if they're living in an apartment or they're living in a small house, all those toys won't fit anywhere, so they go in storage, right? They have houses, multiple places. Their houses, multiple places. And so we're seeing that millennials actually have a higher propensity to store than the boomers. So there you go. All right, myth number 3, self-storage facilities are cash cows. Anybody heard that before? You know, I heard that a lot when I began looking into it. But I didn't want to go broke again, so I needed to dig into the math and not just take that at face value. So when I peel back the onion to take a look at self-storage and why these things are called cash cows, self-storage is most commonly compared to apartments, commercial real estate, multiple units, same type of financing. Heck, when you go out and you see apartments going up, or if they're already there, you're going to see self-storage facilities nearby or going up nearby as well, because they don't have storage, mobile home parks as well. So they kind of go in step with one another. But here's the either the difference or the comparison. So where are my apartment folks again in the room? Apartment folks in this country, right, or excuse me, apartments in this country right now, the industry gets about $1.02 per square foot per month, average across this country. A little higher in some parts of the country, a little lower in others, but that's the average, says the National Apartment Association. So you can't argue with that stat, okay? So maybe a little bit lower in this market, but that's the average, right? Self-storage gets, on average, $1.12 per square foot per month, says the Self-Storage Association. What? 10 cents more per square foot? You kidding me? Where'd you get this guy, Anna? Seriously? For a little 10 by 10 box. Well, why do you suppose that bars almost never go out of business? because they buy it by the gallon and they sell it by the shot. And if you ever added up the amount of money you paid per ounce for a half a gallon, you would be shocked. Or maybe not, but it's a whole lot. So we buy it, we build it by the gallon, and then we put walls and doors in it, and we rent it by the shot. So we get more money per square foot than we do for apartments. Even without heating and air conditioning and carpet and drywall and bathrooms, for crying out loud. Apartments have a 49% expense ratio, correct? My apartment folks, for every dollar you bring in, about 50 cents is eaten up in expenses. Yes or yes? You don't have to agree with me. It's their stat, right? I was in the business and I was dead on right with that. However, self-storage has a 31% expense ratio, correct? 31% rate. So hold on a second. I'm bringing in 10 cents more per square foot and my expense ratio is 18% less. Well, it's simple math. And if you do the math, it ends up being 60% higher in profit. So I ran the math several times and it still comes out the same. So I've done all the homework for you. You're welcome. They are cash cows. That's why so many people are now coming around to looking at self-storage, because it is the most profitable sector in all of real estate because of that equation right there. But don't take my word for it. Inc. magazine, the #1 industry to start a business in this country, self-storage. Market Watch, the Wall Street Journal's digital magazine. Howard Gold, who writes for the Wall Street Journal, he says, forget stocks. I don't know if he's still employed with the Wall Street Journal, but he says, forget stocks, build your nest egg with self-storage because it is the most profitable asset class in all commercial real estate and is beating the stock market. Bloomberg, best U.S. real estate, self-storage units. Yahoo Finance, also covering a Bloomberg article, said the best investment this year in terms of returns, 483% self-storage. The top investment you could make in the country this year, a 483% return. All right, so why do you suppose lenders love self-storage? Banks, commercial lenders. Guaranteed income? Almost a guarantee. That's pretty good, right? Yeah. So for that reason, because it is the most profitable sector, it has the lowest loan default rate. Banks loan money for what reason? To make money. But their first concern is what? Getting the principal back. They want the principal back, and they want to make money on it. So do you suppose with those types of numbers, they got a pretty good chance of getting the principal back? Yeah? Pretty good chance of then making money on top of that? So one of my bankers at closing said, shaking hands and said, thanks, love to go bring you another. He said, please do, we love these things. I said, yeah, we do as well, but why, tell me why the bank loves them so much. And he said, well, just, low risk and the profits and these things. And he said, quite honestly, you got to be a brain dead moron to make, for these things to fail. And we can make loans to just about anybody on these. I said, well, thank you for that vote of confidence. And I will continue to bring you. But at the end of the day, if they're going to default on, if something's going to be defaulted, it's not going to be for the fault of the facility. It's going to be because that guy was a real brain dead moron, and they'll just buy it and they'll lease it back up with a management company and then they'll sell it off. So it's a real safe bet for them. So if you're struggling to find financing for your real estate portfolio or to grow, then you might want to look at the asset class that the banks love and they want to have on their balance sheet. The portfolio lenders, the community banks, the savings and loans, credit unions that buy or that put loans in place and they never sell them off. They just accumulate them to keep on their balance sheet to weather the storm during a recession and good times. This is what they want. Bring us more. They have a huge appetite for self-storage. That's why it's easiest to finance. Lowest loan default rate, 0.64% versus 8.14% in multifamily and 12% in single family rentals. So if you're struggling, you may want to look at this asset class. There's also a small business administration loan that will go up to 85% loan to value with a 5% seller carryback. So they'll go up to 90%. They'll allow you to go up to 90%, and then you put that 10% in either yourself or bringing in some private equity investors. So, man, this is hard to get into. Whoever said it's expensive, it's tough to get into. Well, we also have private equity investors that are wanting to get in on this because of the high returns, and we got banks going up to 90% LTV. So they would rather have an income-producing asset than a single-family home, whereas if you lose one tenant, what percentage of your income stream has gone away? 100%. If you lose one tenant in a 400-unit facility, what percentage is that? 1/400th, whatever that is, right? Yeah. So for that reason, they love self-storage. They could care less what happens to you, and they do care, but not as much about your performance of what you've done in your other asset classes in real estate, because if things go to heck in a handbasket, they foreclose and move you away. And they got this facility that they can go out and market again versus a house that they have to rehab again and who knows what, and then try to sell it. Private investors are also bankers in their own right, correct? So they're looking at this asset class for all the reasons I just mentioned. I won't go through them again, but this is the asset class that they want to invest in. That's why they're all coming to us and saying, give us more deals. Hedge funds are just groups of private investors. Crowdfunding sites, Realty Mogul, CrowdStreet, Fundrise. The self-storage facilities go up, they get funded, and then they go down. Jillian Hellman, who's the CEO of Realty Mogul, we had her on a webinar to our investor list, and she said, we stopped taking those down and we just grade them out because we wanted all these investors come to our site looking for self-storage facilities, and they get funded so quickly that if they looked one day, they'd be funded the next, and we would take them down. So now we just gray them out and say that it's already been funded and leave them on there. National real estate investor, private equity pours money into self-storage deals, talking about the billions that is going into this asset class. And seller financing. If you can't get funding from those other sources, or if you want to layer seller financing on top of that 85% loan to value, what we found is in self-storage is completely different than what we found in houses and apartments. You know, they want to give these things away because they're going under, but self-storage facilities are doing so well that they bought them, they developed them from the ground up, they paid them off, they paid them down, they have a low basis, so when it comes time to sell, when they're ready to retire or to trade in, trade up, what are they faced with paying? Capital gains tax. Anybody in here like capital gains tax? Neither do they. If any of you do, we'll talk about that afterwards as well. But I have no problem with taxes in this country. This is one of the greatest countries to live in the entire world, and we get a whole lot of benefits for the taxes that we pay. Capital gains taxes, I got a big problem with that one, and so do these folks as well. And so when it comes time to sell, they can defer those by offering seller financing, and we find that is very prevalent in self-storage because of the nature of the business. They paid them off, they paid them down, they owe them outright. So when we ask that question, 9 times out of 10, they say, well, yeah, that sounds good. I'd like to defer some capital gains taxes, or I'd like to have an income stream and get more money for my property after selling it and not running it, and still have an equity piece in it as well. So at the end of the day, no money and bad credit is no excuse to get into self-storage. You think, oh man, commercial real estate, lots of commas and lots of zeros. How can I get into that? It's easier. And I know you think I'm just saying that, but it's easier because you got an income producing asset versus a single family home that goes vacant and has no income stream. Who wants to finance that? No one. All right, it's also the easiest to manage. There's 3 steps to getting paid every time. Who wants to hear about that? 4 of you? Okay. 5, that's all I needed to go on. So here's why. We have in self-storage the protection of the lien laws because it is commercial real estate, it is industrial real estate, it is a warehousing, and so therefore we have the protection of the lien laws versus what we had in apartments and houses, which was eviction laws. And again, eviction laws protect whom? Tenants. Lien laws protect whom? Us, exactly. So here's what happens. When I got into the business, we started buying facilities in central Indiana, and we went under the brand of Alcatraz Storage. And at Alcatraz Storage, our lease stated that rent is due on the 1st. We have a grace period until the 5th, and on the 6th of the month, rent is officially late. And at that point, we have the ability to lock them out or put them into what's called an overlock situation. So here's what that looks like. Every door manufacturer has a place for 2 locks, one for theirs, one for ours. What color is ours? Red, exactly. So if a client comes up to a facility and it's a facility that may be rural and it's unfenced and they get up to their unit and they see that red lock on there, can't get in. They haven't paid their rent, right? So they got to come into the office and pay for the back rent and late fees. And by the way, those red disc locks, the hasp is covered by the handle. So even if you were to try to get in there with bolt cutters, you can't cut it with bolt cutters. So it doesn't work. You can only take it off with a grinder. And most people don't bring a grinder with them. And if they did, our cameras, somebody would pick that up. So they can't get in. And so our facilities that are fenced and gated, we put cameras around as well. And then we have 2 cameras at the front, at the gate, that moves back and forth. We want to see faces. We want to see license plates of people coming in and out, right? So we'll watch these folks from time to time. And they'll come up, they'll punch in the gate code. Punching the gate code doesn't work because they didn't pay, right? And then we'll watch them. They'll back up, and we got cameras on the roof as well. And they'll go across the street or next door, and then they'll sit and wait for a good paying client to come along. Punch in their gate code, gate opens up, slow moving gate, right? So they'll punch it and they'll tailgate that dude or that gal into the facility, and then they'll go up to their unit. What do they see? A lock. Not only can they not get into the facility, but once they get there, they can't get into their unit. Ugh. Well, they got to come up to the office and pay their back rent and late fees. Well, if they decide not to, or they're going to find another way, or whatever they're going to do, who knows? When it comes time to go out, guess what? They can't. There's a gate code on the back as well, right? I got them. I got them. That's exactly why it's named Alcatraz storage, because they go into client jail. You got to pay us to get out. You thought, oh, it's cutesy Alcatraz. It's all safe and secure. No, that's a different reason. So here's how the lien law works. After it's a 90-day process, we send a certified letter stating that we have put your unit into overlock status. We have placed a lien on this unit, and if you haven't paid within 90, here's your late fee. We only charge it once. And by the way, any of you are charging more late fees, successive late fees, you can't. It doesn't matter. Habitational real estate, commercial real estate, industrial, you only charge one late fee. We charge it once, and if you haven't paid in 90 days, we have the right by law to sell it off, and that's what we'll do. So we also, on our part, what we have to do per the lien laws is we have to serve them public notice. How do you serve public notice? In the newspaper. So we get to publicly shame them in front of their friends, family, and coworkers, and letting them know that, you know, on April the 2nd at 2 p.m. at Alcatraz Storage, unit number 1234 by Sam Jones is going to be auctioned off. He owes us $274.83. So friends, family, coworkers say, hey, Sam, you better get down and pay. Or mom sees it, goes down and pays little Sammy's unit, and we'll take mom's money to pay for Sammy's unit and take the lock off. But if not, if we don't hear from them, then guess what? Auction time. I really like this part. Yeah. Who's watched the shows? Yeah. So very similar to the shows, okay? Or I should say the shows are very similar to real life. How's that? So there's a usual cast of characters that comes in. They know about our auctions. We have to serve public notice so people see that as well. And yes, the shows have increased the crowds, and more crowds at an auction, obviously, the higher the bids. And so we've got these clowns, these professionals coming out, and we've got professional flea market folks, eBay folks, garage sailors, and sometimes just plain nosy neighbors that'll come out to see what's going on, right? So in order to bid on a unit, they have to give us a deposit, because if they win, they can't just cherry pick, take what they want, and leave us the trash. They're going to take the whole thing lock, stock, and barrel, right? We also, once they get in, they've given us a deposit, they get their paddle, or at least the right, we put a badge or something on them so that they can actually bid. We go out into the facility, unit by unit, we cut the client's lock off, grind theirs off, take ours off, open the door, and they can't get inside. They can't breach the threshold, is the legal term, because this is self-storage, which means that nobody's allowed in there, which means that we don't have any liability. We create a bailment anytime. If we have a key or if we let somebody in there, we have created a liability, a bailment. That's the last thing we want, to be responsible for anything. By the way, if we own single-family rental houses and apartments, you automatically have a bailment. So literally, legally, anybody could, if their purse is missing or something from their house, they could blame you, and you'd have to prove that you didn't do it because you got a key. You got a master key to get into the house. Go figure. So storage, none of that. So they get to look inside, and they'll come out, since the shows, they're coming out, they got flashlights, and they get ladders to look up top. And one of these guys brought night vision goggles. I kid you not. And then they start throwing elbows and blocking each other out. There's a time limit. We give them 5 minutes to be able to look, and then they start bidding, right? So start the bidding process, get to the highest bid. At that point, the gavel goes down, if there's a gavel, or let's just say it's done. It's so our manager or an auction company. The door goes down, and the winning bidder brings their locks with them, and they put their lock on it, and guess what we've just done at that point? We've sold it, but what else? We created another rental immediately. So I get my money back from the last guy or gal, and now I've re-rented it 30 seconds later. How cool is that? And in many cases, we get up to and including what was owed in back rent and late fees on the unit. Not all the time, not as much as I would like, but in some cases, there's also more. So what do you suppose happens when more comes in? Oh, what a party pooper. Really? Yeah, we can't party with it. We have to send it certified check, certified mail to the last known name and address of that person. But then guess what? If that comes back, what do we get to do? No, we can't, unfortunately. Then it goes to the state. And it goes to their heirs or anybody else. We can't. Oh, I know. This was such a great business. No tenants, no toast, no trash. We get paid when they move out, and now we can't make money? on their stuff when they move out. Anna, where'd you get this guy, right? How many of you landlords in here would like to get 100% of your back rent late fees every time? How many of you would like to lock out your tenants for non-payment of rent and then advertise in the local paper and then sell their stuff off? But you can't. It's illegal under eviction laws, but it's legal under the lien laws. That was the game changer for me, folks. That was it. When I learned that, it ain't the houses that causes issues with cash flow and devaluation in rentals and apartments. It's the laws. They're not tipped in our favor no matter what. Lien laws protect us, the investor. So 3 steps to getting paid. Remove the gate code. We lock them out. We auction their stuff off. And we get paid 100% of the time. No courts, attorneys, or collection services. I am the judge and jury. The law says so. And I get paid. I don't have to go through anything else, right? Which is the way it should be, shouldn't it? I build houses and I give them away because I choose to in other countries. And we do a lot of charitable things here in this country. But I didn't set my business up to be a charity and have the laws enforce it forcefully on me. That's the difference, folks. Don't miss that. Don't miss that. If I rented a car from Hertz and I went out and put it in low gear and got on the highway just to see how fast it would go, and hit the guardrail a couple of times on the way back in, and then I take it back to the rental place and I go over the bump with the spikes, and then I decide, yeah, let's just see if it works. You know, hit it reverse and go back over, pop the tires, it works. Take it back in, and then just leave this thing all dented up and smoking, and then I commit the worst crime you could ever commit in a rental car. I used 1/100th of a tank of gas, and I didn't fill it up, right? Then I walk in, and I drop the keys on the counter and say, nah, I'm not going to pay for that. What do you suppose would happen? They'll charge me a fee for not filling up the tank and a whole bunch of other things, and that's also negligent. No insurance is going to cover all that, and they might even call the police if they watch me go back over the spikes and do all this maliciously, right? So why is it that people can go into our houses and destroy them and not pay, and it's called non-payment of rent and excessive wear and tear? You know what? The way I was raised and the way it still is today, you don't pay somebody, that's stealing. And when they take a claw hammer and they go down the drywall because they're mad at me because I'm kicking them out because they didn't pay, it's not excessive wear and tear, folks. That's vandalism. And the courts turn a blind eye to it, and we get nothing out of it. Folks, the best cook in the world can't fix a broken recipe. And I got out. So that's enough. I get paid 100% of the time. They can't ruin a metal box. Oh, if I don't want to hold an auction, I can take a picture of it and put it online. And then let the bidding begin. And when it's all done, put a lock on it again. And then they come out and take it away. And do you suppose there's more eyeballs and higher dollars online when we put it out there than it is for the local folks? Absolutely. And when I say it's my property manager. They open it up, they take a picture of it, and they let the auction company handle the rest, all electronically. Okay? So at the end of the day, we finally found the only corner of real estate where the good guys win. We're investors. We're in this for the business. If we want to take those profits and do something with it, so be it, but we shouldn't be forced to do it. All right. Who's seen the show? Who's a big fan? Okay? Even if you are and you don't want to admit it, you don't have to raise your hand, but I, as the nation's leading company in educating about self-storage, I have a public service announcement that I have to make. So for those of you that are big fans, you don't want to hear it, just put your hands over your ears, okay? Okay, you ready? You've been warned. Okay. Reality TV isn't real. I told you. Should have put your hands over your ears. I know. Come on, man. The dude's got a snap-on tool chest, brand new, an antique Coke machine, and electronics all over in the corner. You think he could come up with $75 to pay his rent? I'm just saying. I'm just saying. So what happens when somebody moves out on their own accord if I don't have to auction it off, or even after I auction it off and somebody takes it out? What do I get back? I get a metal box on a concrete slab. That's what I get back. What do you see there? Better. What don't you see there?
Trash. Don't have to paint. Yeah, no repairs.
Are you getting that, John? No lead, no bed bugs, no, what is the third thing we were talking about? No inspectors coming and sticking their 400-pound butt on the seat and ruining the toilets. And the 3 or 4 other things that you had mentioned, I'm just like, geez, you were just a you have dark cloud coming in this evening talking about this. That's it, folks. And you know what? I don't do this as much any longer, but I used to go to a lot of these big events where everybody's selling stuff and everybody's buying stuff to learn how to rehab their house, you know, a day sooner and make $200 more from the queen of this and the king of that. You know what? Why don't you get out of that business of being the professional junkie and spending tens of thousands of dollars in systems and travel to learn how to do that business better when you can eliminate all this stuff? Take a look at that for some of you who continue to buy and buy and buy. And there's nothing wrong with education. That's not what I'm saying. And we've got an educational product, go figure, that we're offering tonight as well. But at the end of the day, I want to be your last one. Why keep going through all that over and over and over again, having to buy systems for X, Y, and Z for a broken recipe? Because I replaced all those folks, my contractors, painters, and everybody with this. When somebody moves out or when they auction it off, see, when we first got into the business, we were doing it all wrong. We used a broom. And it took 3 minutes. That was how long our turn was. How long does it take you to turn a house or an apartment right now, roughly? By the time you get that person out and you have to turn it and fill it again, get somebody paying it again, average. 6 weeks? Yeah, that's what I was spending. How much are you spending on your turn for just straight rental to turn it? How much money? Lost rent and carpet cleaning, maybe replacement paint and everything else. How much money does your turn cost? $1,000 or more? Yep, I was at $1,300 in 6 weeks. 30 seconds later, and a broom and no money. You see the difference? Go back and look at your P&L for last year. See how much money you made in late fees when you get 100% because we have this, and how much money you spent in your turns. I'm talking about lost rent, attorney fees, and fixing that thing up to re-rent it again. And then see if you might be looking at another asset class to add to your portfolio. Now, as I say that, you can see I'm pretty passionate about self-storage. I made a lot of money in houses. I made a lot of money in apartments until I didn't make a lot of money in houses and apartments. And so I don't want that to happen for anybody else, and a recession's coming. Newsflash. It's going to happen again. There's a whole lot of folks that were in this room in 2007 that aren't here now. And there will be a whole lot of folks that are here right now that won't be here in 2021. I guarantee it. So if you don't have a strategy and a plan, you need to prepare for it. I think everybody should have at least one self-storage facility to have the cash flow coming in, something you don't have to worry about. And you can do whatever you want with your houses and your apartments, but don't put your entire eggs all in that basket because it's going to happen all over again. And if you're not doing it right, if you're not doing it well, and you don't have a plan B for what happens to the valuation of the devaluation of habitational real estate in the next year and a half, you're going to get caught when the music stops without a chair. So just heed that warning, if you will. Be prepared. Just be prepared for it. When I got rid of the tenants, the toilets, and the trash, that eliminated literally 90% of all the work that I was doing in my business. I didn't have time to work on growing my business because I was too busy once I got up to that place that I was just managing it. I was just a babysitter, and I wasn't a very high-paid babysitter at that point. So who's read Michael Gerber's book, The E-Myth? By show of hands, or The E-Myth Revisited, or anything by him, right? Okay, then finish the sentence. Systems run the business. We manage and tweak the systems. Exactly. What better, he talks about, he uses franchises in McDonald's as an example in his book, where you can go to anywhere, any McDonald's in the world, and they have standard operating procedures, and they can pluck people in and out of that system, and it continues to move along, right? Well, there's no better business that I've seen that has less moving parts than a self-storage facility where we can set up systems and then move the small amount of people that are required to run a self-storage facility without technology in it. Systems run the business, we manage and tweak the system. So my goal was to get out of the active income business in real estate. And that was that. Whether we're rehabbing to sell or whether we're having to turn it over and over again to re-rent or go find the facility, or if you're a wholesaler, you're always on the hunt, dragging it back to the cave and then trying, skin it and cook it up, and you have to work for your income all the time, over and over and over again. I want to get to the passive income side with self-storage, where I buy the facility once, 400 units, and I put people in, and then they stay there for 9 to 12 months, and I don't have all the issues that go along with managing that. And as a matter of fact, you know what? I don't even have to manage it. I don't even have to have somebody behind the desk. I can manage it with a kiosk and move people in. How many of you have seen this? Kiosk running a self-storage facility at the front end, right? 2 hands? All right, well, I'll show you how this works. So we were one of the early adopters of this technology. It came into the market in about 2005. There's one company called Open Tech Alliance. They're still the 800-pound gorilla in the space, and they created the kiosk. Now, we've been using kiosks for ATM machines, at the gas station, at banks, Redbox, low labor intensive transaction, perfect for a kiosk to replace a high salary of putting somebody, or not even a high salary, but just the highest line item expense in any business is what? It's salaries, it's labor, right? So we put a kiosk in place. We advertise on the website or in the yellow pages at the time, that's how far back we're going, that we're open 24/7 and we have a kiosk to be able to rent the unit, right? So the client comes up to the facility, they come up to the kiosk, they pick a unit from the map, shows them the map of the facility, and this is Megan right here on this screen. Megan comes on and shows them a map of the facility, the sizes, the rates, where those units are located. So they click on the unit that they want, they insert their driver's license into the credit card reader right here. Clicker doesn't seem to work on this very well. Driver's licenses across this country have a barcode on the back. Uploads their information, and then it pre-populates the rental agreement. Y'all with me? It takes their photo and their fingerprint. So this same camera that recognized when they walked up to the unit you click this button here, and it takes their picture, and then you put your finger on the scanner here, I see above the keyboard, and it takes their fingerprint. We're renting a metal box, folks. This is more than we were doing when they were renting our $150,000 to $200,000 rentals. It offers them renter's insurance. We offer it 3 times. It comes up on the screen. Why do you suppose we offer it 3 times? To make them buy it? Why? So it protects us if something happens? What else would we?
Probably get a
Some money maker? Yeah. She's kind of a greedy bunch here, Anna. Yeah, it protects us from liability, but we want their stuff to be protected, right? That's why we do it. Not to make money. Jeez. We get a 10% spiff, but that's beside the point. So it takes cash, check, credit cards, and debit cards, all forms of payment because it's hooked up to the internet, right? They sign on the screen with their finger, and then it prints out the agreement. This is a printer right here on that slot. It assigns them, I'm kind of lost over here. It gives them a gate code to move in, and if they have forgotten a lock, we sell them a disc lock. No problem. They insert their credit card again, debit card, whatever, cash, and out this bottom door here comes one of those disc locks. Not a red one, but a silver one, right? And this, folks, allows me to rent units all night long, 24/7, no matter where I am in the world, at any of my facilities, even while I'm drooling on my pillow. These things are renting units and accepting payments. How cool is that? Oh, and if they get stuck along the way, it's a rural area, and they don't like technology, or if they want to negotiate, let's say they're talking to Megan here, right? Say, hey, Megan, there's a competition down the road, and you're asking $94 for the 10 by 15. They're offering it for $92. What are you gonna do for me? What does Megan say? Sure, I'll match it. No, Megan can't say anything. She's a machine. Gotcha. No, Megan says, please insert your debit card, right? So they click on the button, they go to the call center. What do you suppose she said? She says, done, 91 bucks, and you get a free lock. Tell all your friends. I have given them carte blanche. You pull them in. I spent all this money to market this place, to make it look good, put this $18,000 machine in. They're crawling off my property. They better be dead before they walk on my property if they're not renting a unit. That's the only way they're getting off. You move them in. Oh, what if they only stay a month? They want to take care of that 1 month free special. What are they going to do the next month?
where are they gonna move their crap?
9 months later, 12 months later on average. Sure, move them in, always move them in. So now we've gotten away from that big old $18,000 machine, and now we got a $500, what looks like an iPad, but it's specifically made for this. This one is down in Georgia, in Macon, Georgia, and it faces the west, and so the sun would just destroy that thing, so we put a cover over it. And what we've also seen in the marketplace is now we put locks on the inside of the units, and we use a smartphone with an app, wireless app in the facility to unlock it from the inside. So yes, the client has that on their phone to be able to get in, and guess who else has that? Access we do, because if they don't pay 7 overlock now, electronically they can't get in. And nobody has to be on site to overlock it anymore, so it reduces our overhead payroll costs as well. How cool is that? 81% of all storage rentals in our industry right now come from a smartphone. 81%. They could be driving up, sitting in the parking lot with a manager at their desk, and they can see her through the window or him, and they'll sit there and they'll rent that thing on their phone because they don't want to come into contact with anyone, right? That's what I do at Starbucks, correct? I bypass that line. I still don't want to talk to that barista. I just want to walk in and pick it up because I'm VIP, right? So now we can do it all on the phone. Who do you suppose is the person who is stuck with the job of renting a storage unit to get all the crap, the treasures out of the house? Who is that in the household who gets stuck with that job? It's mom. It's mom. So she wants to see, or the daughter, she wants to see that it's close by, right? She wants to see that it's safe and secure. Look at all the pictures on the website. Oh, look at this. I can rent a unit online right now. Done. Or I can reserve a unit and then walk in there and finish it because she's got things to do, right? This isn't a house. This is an apartment. She's not looking for school systems or anything else. Get it done. Check it off the list. It's a commodity, folks. This is a commodity. If we can make it easier for the person who is renting this in the household to do it on their phone, done. We win. So that's why we're looking for these old mom and pop facilities. We're junkers, right? That have fallen behind in technology. They're distressed owners. They're distressed facilities, and they've fallen behind in the times. And then we implement this technology and our best business practices and turn this thing around. And then we begin competing with the big guys. And ultimately, we sell these facilities to the big guys. That's the model. So we have responsive websites. A responsive website means that it responds to whatever screen is being pulled up on. I think most websites are this way, but if you remember the days when we started being able to look at websites on our phone, if it wasn't a responsive website, you know, we're trying to expand it and nothing worked and they're all out of alignment. Well, now our responsive websites allows us to be pulled up on any screen or device that somebody is using to be able to reserve a unit online or rent a unit online and or pay online as well. So what we've done is we've just taken advantage of the technology that's out there in the marketplace, in the industry that's available, period, as well as in the self-storage sector, and we utilize the web, right? We utilize the cloud for all this. Everybody knows what the cloud is, right? Yeah, me neither. It doesn't matter, but you know what it is or how it works. It works, right? And that's how we get folks in there, and we utilize all this technology to do so, lowering our labor costs and making it real, what was a real simple business, extremely simple. So following Michael Gerber and the E-Myth, we've basically achieved it. I can really kind of check that off and say that in our business, we've achieved the E-Myth. Systems run the business. We manage and tweak the system. Very little involvement by us. Once we set up a property and put the technology in, it just rolls right along. It just rolls right along. And if a manager goes south, whoop, pluck that person out, put another person in. Then we started teaching people how to do this. Greg Michaels, one of our students, and he lives in a small town, one stoplight in northern Indiana, where the head of hog outnumbers the people. And he said, I need a retirement gig. He owned an insurance agency. He is also an auctioneer, and he also spends time on the mission field with his business partner. And he had a bunch of apartments at the time, and he came to learn about what we were doing and bought 6 facilities around this small town, runs it all with technology, making $21,000 a month, walking around money, passive income. And that's $21,000 net in a small town. And he said it needed to be passive because he's busy. He's on the mission field. He's running an insurance agency. He's an auction. He's a grandfather. Ran an auction house. He's a grandfather. So that's what can happen just in a small town. We can make this happen. All right. We also talked about the massive passive income and value. You know, we can add a lot of income streams to an apartment complex, right? We can we put laundry facilities, vending machines. We can submit to the utilities, but nothing compared to what we have available to us in the self-storage business and sector. So selling locks, boxes, and moving supplies, one of the most common. Record storage and shredding services, billboards and cell phone towers. We can put those up on site and the companies pay us for that land. Temperature control and wine storage, where we add humidity control as well as the temperature control to our units. Renter's insurance to protect their goods and also make a little bit of money. Vending machines, eBay services. The last recession also created a whole lot of folks that got into eBay services and Amazon drop shippers. And so the cheapest office space they can find is Starbucks or their own kitchen table. And once their spouses or roommates kicked them out of the house and out of the garage and out of the basement for storing whatever it is that they're selling, the next closest, least expensive space for storing and warehousing their goods are at a self-storage facility. And then they rent another, and then they rent another, and then they rent another. And so when they get so busy, the person that we do have behind the counter can also help them to sell those goods. We take a percentage of that, and then We also added a pack and ship center to our offices if we had enough activity to do so. And then they would step over to that counter and they would pay us to be able to ship those things out if they got too busy or behind, right? And then the most common is truck rental. You know, we get commissions from truck rentals, from U-Haul and you know, Penske, Budget. All of them have a program. We like the U-Haul program. It seems to work very well. But bottom line is, we could talk about profit centers for quite a while. There's over 40 profit centers we've identified that you can add to a self-storage facility. These income streams that, again, are just run by systems, you know, vending machines, and even the ones that have involvement by a human being are the managers that are there, sitting there, usually twiddling their thumbs anyways, because they're not dealing with tenants and toilets and trash. They're just waiting for people to come in, and that's it. So we might as well monetize them, subsidize them, pay for themselves with these other ancillary income streams if the facility will support it. Does that make sense? So we started experimenting, and we started adding meth labs to a number of our facilities. And am I being recorded? You're recording this still? Yeah? Okay. Last time I visited Toledo, Ria. So yeah, we joke about this because, you know, somebody always brings up, "Oh, Mr. Smarty Pants is such a good business. What about dead bodies and meth labs?" So what do you see here? Sinks. Plumbing, water. Any sinks, plumbing in the self-storage facility? No? Folks, you need water to make meth. Not that I know this firsthand, but it does take water. So no meth labs in self-storage. Where are the meth labs? Yeah, 18th and Sherman. We'll share that one after this session is over with. So we got rid of those too. So here's what this looks like, adding one profit center, adding U-Haul trucks. So we have one of our students in McKinney, Texas, bought McKinney self-storage, mini storage, excuse me, changed it to self-storage, bought it for $650,000. It was a bank repo. These things very rarely go back to the bank. First of all, I asked him, how'd you find this? Because they typically don't go back. He said, the banker is a friend of mine, and this dude had a whole lot of problems in his life, and most of them with his wife because he was doing stuff and watching stuff that he shouldn't have been doing and watching. So he got divorced and ruined his credit, ruined his entire portfolio for his habit and everything else. Anyways, so the bank took it back, not because the facility was underperforming, it's because this dude, they had to take it back. So it was a bank repo, $650,000. The bank financed $600,000 of it, which they rarely do. They usually just sell it off, right? But this bank, Community Bank, they wanted to keep it, portfolio it, because it was a good asset for them up until that point, right? So they were going to finance $600,000. He got $50,000 from his partner. So how much did our student have into this deal? Nothing, right? So we added U-Haul. How do you add U-Haul? Hello, U-Haul. Here's our site. We have road frontage. We have a lot of traffic, and we have room to park trucks. Do you have anybody else nearby? Somewhat of a protected territory. And they said, nope, we'd love to have that there. Sign him up with the program. So he saw a $3,700 per month increase after he got it up and running, and that's in commission. So that's net, net, net. You know, the rentals themselves were dramatically higher than that. This is his commissions. And how do we value commercial real estate? Net operating income, right? So he raised the income, thereby the net operating income on this. And how much did he have into it? How much did it cost him to do this? Not quite zero. $39 a month, because there's a dedicated phone line that is hooked up to a phone and the computer that U-Haul sends all your leads to. So all that person has to do behind the counter is look at the screen, look at the reservations for that day, match it up with the truck that's out there because it's already got a satellite on it. They already handle all this. And if it's not there, it's going to arrive. It'll just show up, and that person has to fill out paperwork and walk around the truck and hand them the keys. And you're already paying that person to be there, right? So the benefit is that Stephen Eaton, the owner of this facility, saw a $250,000 increase in valuation in that facility in just 3 months, and it cost him $39 a month and a little bit of time training his employee by U-Haul. That's just one profit center. And as a percentage, that's quite from $650,000 to $900,000. That's quite a percentage increase in value in 3 months, wouldn't you say? Yeah. So these profit centers allow us to double our cash flow and 10x the value of our facility with very little time and investment. All right, Scott, the name of your presentation was how to make big money with small self-storage facilities, and 650 sounds high, and I saw some other expensive ones, commas and zeros. Where are the small ones? Well, we employ another practice where, yes, we create relationships with the commercial brokers. Yes, we send mailers out, but also when mom and pop get ready to sell their facility, they look at this as a business. And so many times they will list it with a business broker or on the business brokerage websites or small business websites to sell. So that's what we see here, $59.9 for 16 units. $49,500 for 10 units. 14 units for $42,000. 9 temperature-controlled units for $50,000. What was that at one point? Yeah, a little convenience store. Yep, exactly. $79,900 for 19 units. Jeez. What's the average price you guys are paying for, I guess, an average single-family house that's not in the hood? Just an average bread and butter, our Carlton sheet special. How much are you spending? Repaired. 30, 40? How much do you have into it once it's rent ready? 10, 15 grand to get it rent ready? So about 60 grand, okay? For one unit? Oh, okay. And you lose one tenant, what percentage of your rent have you lost? 79.9, I got 19 units and I lose one tenant. What percentage of my rent? Well, once again, 1/19 to do the math. Am I still gonna be able to pay the mortgage on it? Taxes, management, utility bills, and still have enough money to take out mom and the kids for dinner? Yes, yes. Self-storage has the highest returns over a 10-year period. That's why it is called the recession-proof sector. So once again, I don't want to beat this drum, and I don't want to be the dark cloud either, but we need to be realists as well. And you need to have a plan B. This is my plan A and B because it does great during the good times, because what happens during a good time in this country, what do? Woohoo! Buy, right? And we fill up our storehouses, we fill up our garages, we fill up our basements with our toys, and then we run out of room, we put it all in storage. And then what happens during a recession? We quit buying and we store stuff because we downsize. It is the recession-proof and inflation-proof sector. And so, again, I feel that everybody should have one of these to prepare for the recession, and it's coming. So 10 reasons why self-storage is the king, why I love it. There's over 25+ million units, more than any other opportunity out there. Highest demand and fastest growth sector. It's the easiest to fund. The banks, the SBA, private sector, all throwing money at this asset class. Highest profits and cash flow per square foot. It's the easiest to manage because we use technology to do it. And massive passive income by adding those profit centers to 10x the value of these things with very little time and money. It's recession-proof and inflation-proof. And of course, we know the rest, right? That's why I got out of the business. That's why I love self-storage, okay? Here's a business model. You ready? You go out in the secondary markets. So in other words, not the major MSA in downtown, the donut counties. And you find these Class C facilities, right? The ones that the mom and pops own and they have let go. It's a distressed property, it's distressed management. They've sucked all the money out of this thing and they have not allotted for repairing the roofs. By the way, real quick, what is that called? That white pole there, what's it called? Pole, I already said that. Close, starts with a B. It's a bollard. See, you learned something else tonight, didn't you? And then we take care of all the weeds, and then we build more buildings. We put metal roofs on it. We clean up and we pressure wash the doors. We paint the buildings, and then we pave it, and we add 2 more buildings to it, right there. And then we add the technology where before they had a person sitting there 40 hours a week for this facility. It was over payrolled by about 20 hours a week anyways. And then we sell it to a larger player. Another fish gobbles it up, and they buy it at a higher multiple. We bought this facility, Muncie, Indiana. Seller says that we're always looking to expand. The goal is, let me share the rest of the business model. We look for these facilities that are 4 or 5 acre parcels, and they only have buildings on 3 or 4 acres. So we have room to expand. So we turn around, raise rents, make it look nicer, and have the ability to raise rents. But then we add more buildings. That's the way we raise the value. We add more income, the income stream. So this gentleman, we went in and said, "Hey, do you got any more room to build on this site at all? Can I see the site plans?" "Nah, we don't." I said, "Well, what about your RV lot?" He said, "Yeah, well, it's for RVs." I said, "Well, you full?" He said, "No, we never usually get more than 30%. I said, "Okay. Well, we still may be interested. We'd like to buy ones that we can expand." And lo and behold, he pulls out the site plan, and it's got plans for another building there. So we quickly rolled that up, made him an offer, bought it, and then we built that building there and raised the income on it and added the technology and sold it. Oh, by the way, if you're going to put a kiosk in, always best to put it outside the fence. Visited a facility down in Texas. This guy said, "I don't know, I guess I'm too old for this game. I just don't get it. We've done everything. I've been to the shows. We tried everything, and I added this kiosk to it, and I just can't seem to, get anybody to rent it." Well, we pulled up to the facility, and the gate was closed, and the kiosk was inside on the wall. I was like, I don't know either. Well, we'll take a chance, if you'll accept this offer. And he did. So we moved the kiosk outside the fence, lease it up, and then we build more buildings. That's how you increase the value. And you build them in the winter because construction is cheap. You get the slabs poured ahead of time, and then you get ready for the spring rush. And then you add the kiosk outside the fence, and you put up a sign that says open 24 hours. That's how you do the business. And then you add a billboard where the company pays you $18,000 a year with a 10% escalation clause and a 10-year lease. And all we have to do is get a permit for that little piece of ground that we would do nothing with anyways. All right, got any of these around? What are those? Shipping containers. Yes. Got a few of those around here? Got water close by? So let's do a quick little comparison here. Uh-oh, I think my battery may be dead. I'm getting nothing. Can you advance without it? In the meantime? I should know better. How long? I've been doing this 10 years. I take this clicker and I point it at the screen. Goes to the computer, right? Yeah, I guess we're kind of dead battery. Okay, so cost us $2,500 to buy one of those shipping containers that has been converted to a self-storage unit. And we can rent it out for $130 a month per side, roughly. And then we can sit it down either in a self-storage facility, or we can buy a whole bunch of these and put it in our commercial grounds, whether we have an apartment complex or anything else, right? Is it working? Nope. Dead duck. I can just keep making it up. You want to just escape out? Start it over again? So that's about $2,500 converted, and we rent it for about $130 per side. So when we do the comparison on this compared to a single family house and how much we pay for that versus a single family house, the ROI is considerably higher. Now, that doesn't account for the ground that we put it on. Did you hear that? 3 AAAs. Oh, okay. I think we're good.
It was tough.
So now I'll do it. You guys just want to see how good I am at memorizing this. Huh? I can do it faster. Give me another monster. Yep. All right. This is the quick summary, isn't it? There will be a test. Yeah, exactly. Okay, we're getting there. Okay, $2,500 for 2 units. Rents for $150 a month, $300 for the entire unit. Minimal maintenance on these things because they're built to last. We replace the door springs about every 3 to 7 years. Costs us $50. We can lease them for no money down because it's business equipment. It's a unit. It's not real estate. So we can lease them on a no money down lease or a dollar buyout. And no property taxes because it's business equipment. So we don't pay property taxes. We'll pay income taxes on this, but we won't pay property taxes. So when the assessor comes out, can't do it. And we depreciate them over 7 years versus regular real estate that we depreciate over how long? 27 and a half. Who likes 27 and a half? Who likes 7? Portable, scalable. We can put them wherever we would like, right? So another one of our strategies is finding vacant land, and it could be odd shaped. It could have issues with the land itself, environmental issues. It could be by railroad tracks where no apartments or anybody else wants them. We'll pop these things down for $2,500 for a couple of units and no property taxes on a gravel lot and rent them out for the same price as the other facilities that have been built from the ground up that look exactly the same. Put them behind strip centers, anything, any undesirable land for retail apartments, etc. All right. So as we wind down here, I never set out to be a guru, if you will, and I guess it's taken on a negative name, whatever. I never set out to be the professional or the guy or the self-storage guy, as Anna said. I'm not professionally trained. We just have a passion for teaching people. We started doing it locally until when I was broke, I started listening to Mr. David Ramsey, his radio show, and I read Total Money Makeover. How many of you have read Total Money Makeover, by the way? Yeah. Anybody in here who has not read that book that would like to read that book? Oh, I'm really good with peripheral vision, and it just so happens that good enough. You're in the front row. So what's your name, ma'am?
Terry Smith.
Terry Smith. Everybody give Terry a round of applause. So book was a game changer in going through Financial Peace University. Now I teach Financial Peace University, and I teach it at the fastest growing church in the United States right now. And I get to touch a lot of people. Let me take it back. The guy at church touching a lot of people. I get to affect a lot of people's finances by teaching this. And then when Dave Ramsey came to town, he employed our church to come and help him out with his event. So I had an opportunity to go sit backstage with him. And for those of you that aren't familiar with Dave Ramsey and his story, he did go broke in the rental business. He almost lost his marriage. He lost his house, watched his Jaguar get loaded up on a flatbed trailer, hauled away, and then the rest is history. He turned it around by putting biblical financial principles into his personal finances as well as in his business, and came out of it and then began to teach. And so I'm sure my story, which is almost identical, didn't lose the house, didn't get close. It actually made our marriage stronger. But I had a 1969 Corvette that I loaded up on a flatbed trailer and said goodbye to while we rebuilt again. And so he stopped me as I'm telling my story, and he started pointing at me in my chest and looking into the back of my skull through my eyes and said, "You need to go out and teach people about this more than what you're doing right now in Indianapolis." He said, because 80% of the people that call into our radio show and our TV show, they know my story, but they're the real estate folks like you and I that are in trouble. And he said, we just can't let them all on, or it would turn into a real estate country song. So your mission is to go out and teach this. And so that is my mission. I accepted it. And that's what God has placed me here for, is to go out and teach people that there's another way, a better way to get into real estate without tenants, toilets, and trash, and the hassles and the problems and the challenges that we face in this business. And sometimes it's a little bigger than we like to think. So I got a chance to go out and speak on some of the biggest stages in the country that I never thought I'd have an opportunity to do. Even working with Mr. Kiyosaki, who was, I'm a big fan of his, read his book, never thought that I'd be the guy that teaches his folks about self-storage, as well as on some of these other large stages here. And 3 years after getting into the business, standing up on stage in front of 10,000 self-storage investors in Las Vegas and talking about why our company was growing faster than theirs and teaching them how to do it. But it's been an amazing journey and an amazing ride. So in addition to all that, we're dead again. Yeah. We are going to be here till midnight. Oh, there we go. I got my own candy bar too. You guys seen this? You haven't? It's not around here? Yeah, I just thought they were out. I stopped in the CVS right before here, but I happened to bring one with me. Yeah? Who would? Jeez, that took a little while. You guys should know better. Jake, give Jake a round of applause. Yeah. Jake, it tastes a lot like a Hershey. Don't get too excited about it. But and then we got one of these. Yeah. Now then we got Photoshop is what we got. But we got kind of popular. People were asking. It took off, and I was out traveling too much until I said no more. I can't. I want to see my kids grow up, and I built a 60-hour a week business in the education side, and I already had a 60-hour a week investing business, and something had to give. So we wound it down, and my business is simple now. We teach people how to do the business, and we partner with them, and we only teach the people in the business that we feel that we're going to partner with in the markets in which we're already investing in. So that's what we do. Those folks that come through, I hope they go out and do it on their own, but we're not going to hold their hand and coach them and do anything with them unless we're going to be investing alongside of them. So with that, excuse me, now we find these bank-owned facilities where our students do. We put together syndications with our equity partners, and my student partners make $415,000 plus all the cash flow on the back end, and I finance the deal for them. Who may be interested in doing something like that? Another student partner of ours, Marie Tirada, bought a 395 unit facility we did together in Battle Creek. $2,500,000. I financed the seller note on it. It was 93% occupied at the time. We added on to it, sold it for a quick $600,000 profit on that one. Split the profit. We sold this facility for $389,000 down in Chattanooga, Tennessee. My partner, Dr. Dawn Whitfeld, 450 unit facility in Lyles, Tennessee, closed May of 2016 for 1.4. We bought it very low. It had low rents and room to expand. So we raised the rents and we expanded. Sold it, whoops, excuse me, sold it for a profit of $1,165,000. That's the profit in January of 2018. And then we bought State Self-Storage on Telegraph Road here. That doesn't work. Where did I say I went to school? Do you notice the font and the colors in that sign?
Yes.
It was taken down immediately the day after closing. And we painted the poles, not blue. We converted these warehouses in Kalamazoo, Michigan, and enjoy a $23,000 net monthly cash flow because we found these junker warehouses and we converted it into self-storage in a market that, once again, was in need of supply of self-storage. Isn't that beautiful? Where are my junkers in the room? Isn't that great? When you see something like that, even the covers that they had on the doors kind of look like storage. And so we're buying that. It's in Sheboygan, Wisconsin. And we're going to convert it into main level co-working space, self-storage down here with my partner Ben Stanley up in Sheboygan. And we develop as well. This is one of our multiple development projects that we have going on right now, a 93,000 square foot development. This is in Brandon, Florida, which is right outside of Tampa. Getting ready to come online and opening in August. Also building a 78,000 square foot Class A development in Denver, Colorado, Inglewood, right outside of Denver, with my partners Doug and Monica Owen, and a number of others. And then we started getting into other forms of storage, and we're building airplane hangars, and we're going to sell them and then keep the HOA on these because there's a huge demand for airplane hangars and storage. And we're also going to start building these at, maybe I shouldn't tell y'all, but around racetracks. And we're going to start building man caves at racetracks, because there's a whole lot of folks that have cars that they want to run on racetracks. And guess what's going to happen in about the next maybe 10 years or so? We're not going to be driving cars anymore, are we? And if you want to drive a car, you're going to have to go to a racetrack. If you want to drive a fire-breathing V8 muscle car, you won't be able to unless you're on a closed course. And so we're going to see a huge demand for people that want to just drive a car, period. And this is why we do it. I love what we do. At the end of the day, I don't have to do it, except for the fact that I have an obligation, and we are obedient. And we have set out to build at least one more house than we built the previous year through our charitable efforts. We tithe on our corporate profits in both businesses, and once we have enough money to build a house, usually two now, we'll take a group, 20 to 25 people per house, pay for the whole thing, take them out onto the mission field in Mexico, build a house, and the keys off. And then we do it over and over and over again. Bless that family and bless those folks that go with us, and hopefully they will do the same. And if you haven't been on the mission field or experienced an experience like that, I'd love to take you along. It's amazing, absolutely amazing. And we get to do it. We don't have to do it, we get to do it. All right, so since we are running out of, well, we've ran out of time. Being the anti-guru, I'm not going to go through and stand on a chair, have you wave your credit cards. Here's what we've done. We have made available everything that we've ever created and everything we continue to create inside of a very expensive portal. And what this is a website that is pass protected, that has all of our videos, it has all of our forms for investing in the business, our analyzer software, everything that we've ever created and everything that we continue to create is all located in one place now. And we give you access, you go out and do the business. And again, we hold nothing back. There's nothing to buy extra or afterwards, because our hope is to build partners in this market, because we already have a footprint in here and we don't actively look in these markets. Meaning, I'm investing in 23 different markets throughout the country right now. I'm not looking in all those markets. I'm not teaching everybody to do it. And I don't want to partner with everybody or work with everybody in those markets. But in the markets we're already in, we want to work with other folks to find other facilities to get that economies of scale. So you're not competing with me in this market because I'm not actively looking. You know why? Because I don't have the time. because our students are bringing the deals to us. Those are the deals that we work. So we teach you how to do it, and we leverage our time and give you the tools and resources, and then you bring the deals to us. And we either say, you don't need us, go do it on your own. You get everything you need. Here's our lenders, here's everybody else, go do it. But if you do need help and you do want to partner with us, that's our intention. That's our hope, at least at some point, that we get to that place. Does that make sense? So everything's available. We don't hold anything back. Our financial underwriting software, scripts to work with brokers, learn the industry lingo. You can set your future projections with this software, what to pay, when to sell. It gives you the entire business model. Systems run the business. We manage and tweak the system. I'm giving you access to the system. We also don't leave you hanging. We show you how to manage it. Should you manage it yourself? No. But when you hire that person, I give you everything. We give you the rental agreement. We give you the operations forms. We give you the resource forms, everything you need to set up the management side of the business. If it's in this market, if it's in another market, you're going to hire a property management company anyways, and they're going to have all this already in place. So it's even less to manage, less systems to keep track of. Now, I know what happens. Some of you will be very excited, but then life will get in the way over the next week or so, and you sign up with us and you do nothing. So we're going to give you the kick in the rear from Indianapolis by way of the internet, and we're going to do a webinar. And we're going to walk through where to start, how and where to find the deals, how to evaluate them, and then how to evaluate the market. That's what you need to know to determine whether an opportunity is still just an opportunity or if that opportunity turns into a deal. It's by doing this quick analysis, and we're going to show you just exactly how to do that. Then we packaged up this, so we've got the physical business plan. So we call it a home study course only because the industry calls it a home study course. Many home study courses have been very disappointed, and it just looks like a book that's now big font and huge spaces and in a 3-ring binder. Ours is a business plan. It's our business plan. You get our business plan, the same business plan that I give to our banks and to our private equity partners that explains the business and shows you step by step how to do the business. So that is the business plan, and then everything else is located in the portal. To learn how to apply it, you have everything you need, but if you want to immerse yourself in it, then spend 3 days, turn everything else off, including the outside world, and come spend 3 days with us, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. And we'll teach you the business. This is not a pitch fest. Who's been to a pitch fest? Okay, no pitch fest. No outside selling anything. The goal here is a workshop. It's a hands-on, active workshop to show you how to apply the business plan, the tools, the resources that we give you, so then you come back to the market and you're ready to go. Hit the ground running, 100 miles an hour. So our team is there. You get to meet my private equity masters, the folks that handle our students. You get to meet our brokers. You get to meet the folks that are on my team that may be working with you if we decide to do a deal together. They're all there to ask questions of, and you get access to them for 3 days. Okay. Oh, let me let me add to this. So we've got 2 events coming up in Indianapolis. The first one, August 22nd through the 24th, that's called our Developers Academy. That one is normally $2,000 because it's advanced. But for those of you that are looking to build or maybe convert buildings, maybe you have a bent towards that, or you're already in construction and you're looking to develop or add on to an existing facility, we focus on nothing but ground up conversions and additions from a building standpoint, take it A to Z. The October Academy, 17th through the 19th, that focuses on finding, evaluating, and purchasing existing self-storage facilities. So the ticket for that is half the price of the Developers Academy. So what I'm saying is you can choose. You can come to the Developers Academy if you'd like, and it's not going to be any more expensive this evening to be able to get the home study system and then also come to the developers event. You get to choose. So here's what we do at the Academy. My team, no outside sales speakers. We go through the business model. We show you how to set it up. We talk about financing and syndication. We talk about property and market analysis by going through case studies. Best way to learn. Case study after case study after case study, and we show you how to analyze the deals in the market. We'll touch on no money down development. We'll talk about the buy and hold business model, the goose that lays the golden egg to keep. And then we also talk about what it looks like to refer deals to anybody, to wholesale them, to us, to anybody else in the marketplace. And then what it looks like, obviously, to partner with us. Show you exactly what that looks like. And then we do a virtual site tour. So we used to hop on a bus and go out and do a site tour. And as we traveled around, that became a little too difficult. And we also offer wine with that because it's my 2 favorite loves, self-storage and wine. And one business feeds the hobby. So we'd go out to the facility and we drink wine. Well, then everybody drank wine and they never learned the things they need to learn at the facility. So we stopped those bus tours, and we have a virtual site tour, which is actually a better learning environment anyways. So we've videotaped several tours, and then we run back to back the clips of things you need to know when you visit a site. So you get 100% of the information, and we still serve the wine. There you go. So the complete self-storage blueprint, again, nothing is held back. Anything that you need to go out and start, launch, and grow your self-storage business. When we used to be active, selling this, if you will, $5,588 is what we would charge individually for all this. We used to put a package price together when I was speaking around the country at 1997. It'd probably be more than that now. I don't even know what the gurus are charging for their stuff now. But you get the business plan, access to everything we've created, and 2 tickets to our academy, whichever one you want to go to, the developers event or the regular event for $14.97. How's that? Is that fair? Where are my flippers in the room? Nobody wants to raise their hand now. How would you like to make $352,000 on the flip? Is that good enough? You like that? Yeah? Well, maybe. All right, well, if that's not good enough for you, Casey Cavell at 23 years old did a second one. It made $928,000. You like apples? How you like them apples? Yeah, is that good? And at 25, retired, and now he's the money guy. $89,000 in annual cash flow is what Adrian Brumar was enjoying as a pilot from his one self-storage facility that he bought in rural northern Illinois, southern Illinois, and then sold it recently for a $1.3 million profit, net profit after holding it for 4 years. His pension, his retirement from being an airline pilot is going to be a fraction of that. Carrie and Faye Savransky bought this one facility in rural Washington, state of Washington, and they just recently sold it for a just shy, I rounded up on this one, just shy of a $2 million profit after holding that one for 5 years. Not bad, huh? Here's the deal. We measure our performance. We're very, very specific and calculated in how we look at what our students are doing because we want to be able to show that they're successful and also make them better at it so they can see that so that they can bring more deals to us. So we track this. And the average monthly income, net, that our students gain when they first buy a facility, not after they fix it up, stabilize it, but when they step in, month one is $7,397 a month. So buy one facility, do all the work, basically the same amount of work you would do to buy a house, and step into $7,000 a month in passive income, net. How's that sound? If that's not enough, how about you just go buy another one? And then you got 14. If that's not enough, then you buy 3. Can you buy 3 facilities? Can you buy 3 properties this year? How many of you are on track to buy 3 properties this year? Okay, same amount of work. Go buy 3 of these and you get $21,000 a month. How's that for walking around money? Is that good? And that's at the beginning, before you ramp it up and you turn up the wick on these things and move the needle by adding the profit centers and turning around, raising the rent and lowering the expenses. So if that isn't enough, here's the reasons to join our team now. Storage is red hot and it's going to heat up when we head into, I'm not going to say the R word, when we head into a correction, right? The package we're offering is only offered here and it's only good to today. So you won't find this. You're not going to go out to the website and call us up or anything else because we don't want everybody anymore. You can't go to our website or contacts. We don't want to work with everybody throughout the country. We only want to work with the folks that are working in our markets that we're working in already. And we have the capital. We just need deals and partners. We've got a lot of money behind us and our equity partners that are screaming for deals. So put the deals in front of us and we'll fund them. You bring the deals, we'll bring the money. Is that fair? You bring the deals, we bring the money. So everything that we have to offer, everything I've ever created is available in the business plan through the portal. 2 tickets to immerse yourself in the business and spend 3 days with us, and we'll get you on the road to creating passive streams of income in real estate without all the hassles of tenants and toilets and trash, all right? So with that, I'm a couple minutes over. We made it before midnight, but you guys have been awesome. Thank you so much. I will be at the back to answer any of your questions. Anna, anything else you'd like to add? Okay, gang, you're in a hot market right now. I wouldn't be here if this wasn't an undersupplied market, in case you could guess that. If this was an oversupplied market, I wouldn't be here standing in front of you. The opportunities are here. The time is now. I look forward to working with as many of you as possible that are willing to take the charge. I'll show you how to do it and I'll bring the money. No better offer than that. Thanks, gang.